And so now we've said this, and you heard it. So now we know for sure there's a bigger, bolder question that you want to ask. What is it?
I want to be in the vortex with my husband, and I. Well, there's
the rub. You have to modify that desire to something that is possible. I want to be in the vortex. I want to be in the vortex.
I want to be in the vortex.
I want to be in the vortex. I want to be in the vortex where my inner being is, where all of my desires are, where all of my plans about my relationship with my husband are, where his inner being is. I want to be a cooperative component with all of that. And wouldn't it be nice if my physical husband joined us in the vortex? Wouldn't that be nice? Is it a deal breaker? I want to be in the vortex. I want to be in the vortex. But the question is, do I need my husband to be in the vortex with me in order for me to be in the vortex? That's the distinction that we want to make. Because if you need somebody else to do something in order for you to feel good, now you're calibrating to them, and now you have no power. And you're stepping all over their creative toes. You don't get to choose what somebody else wants. Esther has a friend, funniest girl. Esther adores being with her. She's going to play with her for the next 2 weeks. And someone will say to them, "Have a nice day, girls." And she will say, "Don't tell us what to do." You really get to choose for you. And so this goes to back what we were saying earlier about children. Of course, you have put versions of your life with them in the vortex. And of course, you want to practice the thought of that until you are at one with that. But you cannot need the manifestation before you feel it. You have to be able to feel it with or without the manifestation. And once you trend like that, then
so it feels
then you can influence it.
It feels easier to be in my vortex without him.
It really is easier to be in your vortex when there's no one else around. Because your power of focus is easier. But still, even though that is an absolute true statement, you're usually not in your vortex when you're alone either, because you're complaining about being alone. Or having to do all the work yourself. Or being a little bored, not stimulated enough, or not feeling enough energized.
So in other words, I'm being initiated to be in an unconditional place of like being in my true power where I'm unconditionally loving.
Let's speak it in real strong terms. You said, all of you said, I'm going to focus part of my consciousness into a physical body, in a physical environment, knowing that there's a lot of contrast that will serve me. So from your non-physical point of view, you weren't complaining about any of that. You knew that contrast is necessary for new ideas, and new ideas are necessary for expansion. And you so knew that you are an eternal being that you just welcomed what causes eternity to be. And you had no qualms about it. You didn't say, but what if I get there and I don't like it? Or what if they're mean to me? What if they don't understand me? There was not any of that. You said, I'm going to go and it's going to be good and I'm going to figure it out. And you all knew you could do it and you knew it would be good. Even if you had to croak to realize it, you knew that there would be benefit being in a physical body. And the larger part of you, which was the consciousness that you were approaching all of this from, also was acknowledging the larger part of me will remain non-physically focused and will capture the essence of every nuance or desire that I stir up in the physical. So I'm really going to, from a non-physical standpoint, enjoy this evolution. And I'm going to focus with such clarity, the non-physical part of me, that anytime this physical pioneer or satellite or extension is having an experience, it will be unmistakable how well connected to desire. The emotion will be the key. When my satellite gets feeling uncomfortable, if that physical part of me wants to feel comfortable, logic says that being will reach for thoughts that. So that was your plan. Now you get here, there's a lot of you, and you join forces to explain rightness and wrongness in order to justify the rightness of your complaint. And there are so many physical beings who will join you that it entices you away from your true knowing. Well, millions of people can't be wrong, inner being. Esther said to us many times in the early days especially, and once yesterday, clearly, Abraham, you need more information. I know you're in love with this person, but really? Because it just seems from all the sorting and sifting and all of the comparing of all of this stuff and all of this likes and don't likes that Esther has, it's hard to accept that somebody shouldn't just do something about some of that. But the thing is, you live in this environment of free will. That's what creation is about. You don't get to create for anyone else, but you get to create for you. And so it takes some practice. Here's the easiest way to understand this. You know how you feel about your children? How the love you have for them, not always, not always, we hear your protest, but the love that you have for them has been practiced so long. You were trending it even before you were born and even before they were born. In other words, it's this powerful, powerful trending. And so this love is so strong that even in a moment when they are behaving in absurd ways and the urge to kill them is strong, can't you feel how that love is dominant anyway? Esther parks her car in San Antonio at the valet. It's a sort of new service, and Esther really likes it because it's right there. She gets out of her car, they help her with her bag, she walks right into the terminal and goes to the gate. It's fast and worth the extra money, and she's been there maybe 20 times and is very appreciative of it. Yesterday, when she drove up, the person didn't come right over to help her, which doesn't matter. Esther's bag is light and gravity helps too. Just drag it and it will be on the ground where it belongs soon. Just guide it a little and stay out of the way. And so Esther gets her bag down, but then a man pulled up in a truck behind her and nearly ran over her to beat her to the front of the line. And Esther thought, wait a minute, that's not how we do that here. I've been here 20 times, and what you're supposed to do is take your turn. Well, really? It held Esther up maybe 3 minutes, maybe, because this man did not know how to play here. He didn't have anything ready. And so Esther stood there, and we're being very precise with these words, attempting to be patient. But she didn't give birth to this bad person. So she didn't have any extra leeway love. Her grandkids, they could set houses on fire and it wouldn't bother Esther that much because she loves them so much. But this guy, one little moment of rudeness, you must die. Now, of course, she didn't really mean it. She had a chance to think about it a little bit, and it surprised her that it bothered her so much. But come on, people, let's behave the way we're supposed to behave. By whose standards? Who gets to decide what the standards are? There were no rules posted anywhere around there. This is a person that's used to doing what he wanted to do. He probably would cut people off in traffic too. Esther had a long list of things. I'll bet you. She hasn't practiced loving him. She hasn't practiced loving rude people. She hasn't practiced loving rude people. She better, because the world is full of not people that would count themselves rude. They would call themselves efficient, effective, moving with the flow, taking advantage of the right situations. He wouldn't call himself disrespectful. He would call himself efficient. Esther calls herself efficient too. She found a little leeway there, but it was interesting to Esther how much of her time she gave to that. She thought about that at least 10 minutes as it happened, as she walked on. And you know what it did? It spoiled her normal elation through her San Antonio airport. That's a fun place to be. There are nice people everywhere. People who know her, people who rendezvous with her, people who compliment her, people who wink at her, not because they know what her work is, but because she's a happy girl on the move and they're there. And so she spoiled her trip through the airport by pondering something that, first of all, isn't any of her business. But the point that we're making is, when you've practiced loving, it's easier to love. We want you to practice general loving until it's easy to love. That's what that positive aspects is about. It causes you to focus upon someone and practice the feeling of alignment. It causes you to practice being like your inner being, even though the physical human you doesn't think that that person deserves it. That's what we hear from you all the time. So Abraham, why are you making it Esther's responsibility to make someone like that all right in the world? Because you don't want to be alone in the world, we promise you that. And you're not going to be able to control the people in the world, we promise you that. Even those that you live with, we promise you that. Whether it's a stranger or someone you know, you can make rules and requirements. You can become the nag of the world, but they won't become cooperative components to your nagging. The only thing that causes people to become cooperative components to you is if you become a cooperative component to the big you, and then you have a chance of them becoming a cooperative component to the whole of you that is radiating. Are you getting what we're talking about? And so isn't it nice to have an experience like that? That's why we've been teasing you here today, but really meaning it. Don't calibrate to the humans around you until you know for sure you're calibrated to the source within you. Because when you're calibrated to the source within you, then you will have a much better time with all of the people around you, and some of the people around you you will have spectacular experiences with. But if you're not calibrated to the source within you, you're not going to have a good time with anybody. They just can't be good enough for you, because you have this void that you're trying to fill through their attention, through their love, through their respect, through their behavior. That's not what you're looking for. That's looking for love in all the wrong places. Look for it where it is, and then carry it out into the world with you, and walk around in step 5 where people can misbehave and you can say, I get it, I've been there. You can say, you must really be in a hurry. Don't say it out loud to them. How often, when it's up to Esther, does she step back and encourage someone to go ahead of her? She does that all the time. She opens doors for people. She encourages people to board the airplane ahead of her, even though her boarding was next. If someone's really looks like they're in a hurry, she'll stand and she'll say, go right ahead. Go right ahead. Esther's not in a hurry to get her fair share of anything, because she knows she can't not get her fair share of anything. Her fair share is coming in abundance and abundance and abundance and abundance. She has the leeway to grant someone who doesn't understand that some extra leeway if they want it, you see? And isn't every grievance that you have with everyone something about that? You're defensive because you feel that you are being deprived of something that you want, that somehow you've misunderstood that they should be giving to you? No, they're not the source of it. Source is the source of it. Source is the source, of course. Source is the source of it. Source is the source of it. Don't try to fill your void with anything else. Just hook in, tune in, tap in.
So I should just make love to my source.
Make love to your husband, intertwined with your source. Oh, that's good loving. That is good loving. That's good loving. Enough?